Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great start to your week. I am excited to talk to you guys today. So welcome. It's Mindset Monday, and my name is Drew Demery. If you haven't joined me before, welcome. If you have, I appreciate all of you joining in and commenting below. Give me a thumbs up, a good morning, hashtag Mindset Monday, anything, everything. Let me know who's out there listening this morning. So like I said, I have been on this journey with Mindset Monday for over 27 weeks, posting things that, I really sometimes don't know a ton about as far as how the mindset is shifting. And one of those topics today is definitely something that I struggle with. So hopefully you get something out of it, but at the same time, I want you to hear kind of the journey I've gone through adapting this mindset. So today we're going to talk about change. Whenever I say the word change, it's an interesting thing because I look at myself and I look at my life so far, and I definitely have not embraced change as much as I should. And I want to kind of go back a little bit and tell you the reason why I chose today's topic. Actually, this week my mother, her name is Chris, and my sister named Jessica, they actually flew up from Indiana, where I'm from, and they spent the week with me. And basically what we're doing is my mom is very, very young at 64 years old, and she's making a decision to possibly move to a different state, kind of a new chapter in her life, kind of semi-retirement, kind of do other things. And that really brought up this topic because I was thinking about when I'm 64 years old or 65 or 85 and I'm in a situation where I'm going to make a change in my life, will I really run towards it or will I run away from it? And the one thing that I can tell you is my mother is a testament to change. She has had so many different changes in her life, which I won't go into, but she is definitely a person that absorbs and really runs towards change. I'll tell you, to be fully transparent, I really kind of feel like I'm the opposite when it comes to change. So I guess I ask you, what is your mindset around change? Do you like change? Do you embrace it? Do you challenge it? Do you run towards it? Or do you run away from it? For myself, the answer is that I do like to do the same thing over and over again. I like patterns. I like habits. I like consistency. And I preach and talk and I coach about it all the time. I mean, if you look at me every Monday, I basically wear the same shirt. I dress the same. My shoes similar, look the same. I'm very particular about the brand of clothing that I have or the style of shoes. You can ask my wife. She's like, you're so unable to change your wardrobe because of your habits and your likes and dislikes. So change for me is not normal. And maybe it's not normal for you, but I want you to kind of embrace it. And the funny thing is, I was going back with some of the big changes in my life, whether it was the location of where I was going, if it was maybe obviously us deciding to have a child, obviously getting married. Those are changes, right? So the funny thing is, I feel like I'm almost like, I don't know, like a change bipolar. I don't think that's a technical word, but I don't like change, and yet when I do go into change, I go into massive action, and I change very quickly, almost suddenly. I don't know if that happens with you or not. So there's really kind of a challenge with the word change because only 10% of us really like change. And so I was kind of doing a little research, and it's kind of funny, this article saying 10% of us respond like James Bond. We're like on it. We're like ready to go. And then the other 80% of us is like Mo off the Three Stooges, is kind of their analogy. They're not really willing to do anything. So we're in a world where we're basically in March, so New Year's resolutions are kind of probably already out the window. And maybe it's a change in your diet, or maybe it's a change in your relationship, or maybe it's a change in your financial habits. We already have the cards stacked against us. 10% of us are willing to make changes, and the other 80 to 90% of us are not willing to make that change. So I guess it's a very interesting thing as we go into the mindset around it. I think we got to go back even further and peel the onion back. There's got to be some levels of change. So I was in a class last week, and he was ironically talking about change, and he was mentioning to me, to us as a group, he said there's really 4 levels or phases of change. And as he went through, I was like, that totally is me. The first phase of change is we resist it, right? We don't run towards it typically. We're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, right? And then the second thing that we end up doing is we gather evidence or we find a tribe. So what you're going to do is you're going to find other people around you that say, yeah, that's not a good idea, right? And they're either going to support you or endorse what you're saying. And so we're trying to gather evidence that maybe this change is not good, right? And then we're indifferent to it. So we're like, either way, it doesn't work, doesn't matter to me. But then the fourth is then the acceptance, right? So I thought that was such an interesting way of describing what all that happens in my head. And all of that is just mindset, right? Because if we go from resist to accept, but we have all those levels in between, our brain constantly has to make a decision if this is positive or negative. We talked a few weeks back about fight and versus flight, right? I really think change is a part of that fight versus flight. So, and for me, I was like, why am I so particular about things? Why do I not like change? I mean, let me give you an example. Going to work today, I realized I take the same roads to work every single day. I don't take a left when I should take a right. I don't go around the block. I go the exact same way. And in fact, I actually park in the exact same parking spot when possible in the parking lot that I work at, right? So why is change so hard? I really go back to the fear is the number one resistance to change. And I'll say it again, fear is the number one resistance to change. The reason why is because we don't have a crystal ball, right? We don't. And we don't know what's to be expected. And for myself, I'll tell you, again, full transparency, I am like a control freak. I like the way I like it, when I like it. And then that's in everything. That's down from my food to my clothing to my habits to my time frame to my car. Like everything I do is, and I think there's some positive attributes to that. I mean, look at Steve Jobs and look at other people that are successful. They don't change their outfit. It's the same outfit over and over again. And yet we got to be open to change because it's just an interesting perspective of when we're talking about our mindset. That is what mindset is about, right? It's changing your mindset. It's adapting your mindset. And if my 64-year-old mother can basically uproot her life, have a whole new experience, what am I complaining about a shirt or pair of shoes? It just gives you perspective. So I want to kind of think about how can we go into change and kind of and change it, essentially, to where we can look at a more positive mindset. So some things I kind of was thinking about and I jotted down is, for myself, I've got to look at the best case and the worst case scenario. So to really have a real impact in making a real decision on if this change is positive, you got to look at the best and worst scenarios. But be careful of that because you can really go into what I call a fixed failure mindset. So what I mean is you're constantly looking for the landmines instead of looking for the diamonds, right? So you're constantly going, okay, this is the best case scenario, but what if this happened? What if this happens? What if this happens? And you got to be careful of that because, again, that goes into that scarcity mindset versus the abundance. And so I definitely think you need the best and worst scenarios. Don't do like me and make sudden decisions and changes. So I don't necessarily, but you know what? I didn't really make any bad decisions. I just failed forward maybe a couple times more than I would like to have. I also realize you kind of have to embrace the idea of risk. When you're making a change in your life, whether it's moving to a different state or starting a new career or maybe deciding to have a second or third child, that's going to create change, right? And we've got to realize that change will make us uncomfortable, and then you're going to be okay with being uncomfortable, right? And so you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Also, I think you got to realize the excitement needs to trump the fear. It's exciting to start new things. It's exciting to have a different change of pace, right? And the funny thing is that every time I start or change or do something different, I got kind of get this burst of energy. And that's the highest form of energy, is that passion and just the gratitude that you're doing something different. So as the more I talk about it with you guys, it's like, wow, why do I not embrace change more? Like, it's pretty exciting. It's actually the opposite of fear. It's exhilarating. So it's kind of cool. I also want to make sure that when you're going into change, let's just go into small steps. So I tell people all the time when I'm coaching them about their goals, like if you want to make $100,000, let's not fixate on the 100,000. Let's focus on the small steps that are going to get you to accomplish the achievement of the 100,000. So all change is the same way. You know, we go back again to it's March, right? And most of us probably are off our New Year's resolution. But let's just say, hypothetically, that we're going to go on a diet. It doesn't mean you're going to now work out 7 days a week and eat lettuce 7 days a week, right? It's a gradual change. It's gradual. Because what happens in life, and if you really think about it, everything in life happens this way. It all happens gradually, then suddenly, right? It's gradually, then suddenly. Unfortunately, if you think kind of a negative example of that is when someone has a heart attack, generally speaking, they have symptoms leading up to the actual heart attack. Or it's just, there's a lot of things in life that are about this gradual, then sudden process, and change is definitely one of them, because you want to make sure you're following those small steps to change. Also, your brain and your mindset is less resistant to it because you're almost like buying into it, or you're convincing yourself that it's okay. Again, it's going against that failure, fixed mindset towards failure, right? So the other thing is that you might want to seek some advice for some of the changes that you make, right? So if it's obviously business related, call your coach. If it's health related, contact your trainer, right? But you need to seek advice for what changes you're going to make. Don't, and I'm guilty of this, don't think you're the smartest person in the room, because you're not. There's a lot of people that are smarter, that are wealthier, that have been through different experiences that you need to share and kind of almost mastermind around it. So if you're thinking about making a change in life, embrace the opportunity of gaining some advice from someone. You know, you are not alone when you make changes in your life. Someone has done it before, and someone's going to do it after you, and why not learn from them in a positive way? So I guess the real question is, kind of we sum this up, is what is on the other side of change, right? So if we're so worried about change and we're so worried about not making the right choices, and again, this crystal ball is not there, what's the other side of it? The cool part is I'll tell you, I experienced something really cool with my mom and my sister. We actually went to North Carolina. She's looking at kind of like the Cary, North Carolina area. By the way, if you guys are in that area, it is beautiful there. Beautiful area. I mean, like, it looks like a park 24 hours a day. And so we were in there, and we're going through these different townhome and apartment communities to kind of decide, you know, the pros and cons. And we had the list, right? And we were, you know, seeking advice from other people. And the real thing is that I had real clarity that everything was going to be okay. You know, she's my mom, and then you worry about your mom, like, what is she going to do, and how is she going to live, and is she going to be safe, and all those things. Almost emotional here. And at the same time, it's cool because she's embracing change like it's never before. She is so excited. She's so abundantly happy with the opportunity of really going into this phase of her life that she can spend more time with Emma, her grandchild, right? And spend more time on vacation with us and just do a lot of different things. And it was the coolest thing to kind of see, because I guess I was resistant to the change pretty much the day she got here. It's like, I don't know if we're going to find a place, or maybe she should stay where she is, or maybe she should work a few more years. Like, there's all these things, because again, I had such a fear of not seeing what the future held. And it was pretty cool to see my mom in a situation where she embraced the change, and it was really inspiring. So one of the things I would tell you to say to you is, surround yourself with people that like change. Surround yourself with people that really embrace it, because it's so inspiring to see someone, regardless if they're 12 years old, 25 years old, 65, 85, that they embrace change and they run towards it. So it's really changed my mindset, and I will continue to adapt to it on what I think about change is. It's so cool to be able to see that firsthand, and it was kind of a cool experience this weekend. Again, opportunities of change gives you new ideas. It gives you new relationships. It just gives you abundance. And that's what mindset is about, is creating a change that's going to create this positive outlook on things. And I get a tongue twister, so I'll tell you, there's a little saying that we say around here at Keller Williams is, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right? And it's such a true statement. And like, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Like, my original mindset of change changed. It really did, right before my eyes. So be open to things. Be open to change. again, we're about 80-90% running on we don't like change. But look on the other side of it. It's so freaking cool to be able to see what life has to offer. So I want to end with you guys on Mindset Quote. It's pretty cool. This guy is George Bradshaw. Actually, it's George Bernard Shaw, not Bradshaw. He says, progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. I thought that was cool. So progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So if we're focusing on mindset, and that's something we talk about every single Monday, different topics and different conversations, doesn't it all start with change? Doesn't it start with seeing it from a different perspective or seeing it from the neutral space where you're not coming from judgment? Because at the end of the day, let's just keep it real. All of us as humans, we're judging machines, right? We judge the changes that other people make and say, I wouldn't do that. And yet, maybe that was a good choice for them. Maybe that's what they needed in their life to kind of create the next level of success or abundance for their family. So I want you to go into this week looking at what can you change for the positive, what can you change that's currently negative in your life, and run towards change and not run away from fear. All right, well, have a great week, and I'll see you guys on Mindset Monday next Monday, and we'll continue the conversation. All right, have a great day. Talk to you guys later. Bye.